Hello and welcome to the Control Zone, the video game podcast that covers everything from retro 80s video games up to the modern day. This is episode 3. We've been away for a little while due to Christmas, but now we're back. I'm your host or co-host, Rob, aka Predaking79, and with me as always is
Ricky. Hello, Rob. How are you?
I'm very, very good, sir. It's been a little while since we've recorded, hasn't it?
Yes. Probably. Well, of course, iTunes had a lockdown, didn't they, over Christmas for about 10 days or a week or 10 days. So we had to squeeze one in before we before they broke up, and then of course we had some sort of working problems just after, didn't we? But yeah, other than that, really, really good. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, it's. I think it's been about 3 weeks since we last recorded, so slightly less. Well, by the time this goes up on iTunes, it probably would be about 3 weeks. But yeah, we've had a bit of a Christmas vacation, as they'd say in America, or a bit of a piss up, as we say in the
UK. Indeed, yeah. Although, did you get pissed on New Year's Eve?
I didn't on New Year's Eve. Well, shall I say what I've been up to, and then we'll.
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah,
let's start off with New Year's Eve. Let's work
backwards.
Work backwards from
there. Let's start with Christmas because Christmas is more fun.
Yeah, true.
No, I was at my parents for Christmas. Who live in the New Forest. So my kids were on the Isle of Wight for Christmas Day itself. So I had Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day. Without them, but which kind of sucks because obviously they were over last year, but it meant I could get rather drunk, and I did on Christmas Eve, and I was rather hanging on Christmas Day.
Oh no, they're the worst kind of hangovers because as a kid and sort of as you hit your teens, Christmas Day is the pinnacle of the year, isn't it? It's that because you don't earn any money. It's the day where you can get something really good.
For free,
for free, effectively. So, of course, leading up to the bits before you start discovering alcohol, it's a really enjoyable day. And I think, I don't know, is that your first Christmas Day hangover stroke heavy night before?
No.
Got a few of those.
Yeah, well, certainly. I mean, it's the first in a long time, obviously, because of kids and stuff.
Yeah.
But, no, when I was sort of teenager and stuff, it was a regular occurrence. But no, it wasn't like horrendous, ruin my Christmas dinner sort of thing. But when my nephew woke up about 7:30 and was getting all excited, I was like, "What? What's going on?" I mean, I think I she went to bed that late. I think it was about midnight. But I went to a Christmas party and then the pub and but. So yeah, Christmas Day was kind of just vegging out and doing the usual and watching Doctor Who. And did you see it, by the way?
Well, it was on. It was on.
On the background.
Yeah, I was kind of messing around on the computer. I did. The only thing I watched on Christmas Day. Well, there are two things I watched. One thing we watched about 6 times, and the other I watched once. So Wreck-It Ralph was on RTV nearly all day.
Yeah, because it was on Sky Movies, wasn't it?
Yeah, the kids were back to backing it, literally all day.
Yeah.
When they weren't on Minecraft, that is. And then the only thing I did catch was Mrs. Brown's Boys in the evening, which was late, and I can't stand that. But because we had some family here who did like it, I had to kind of watch it. So, and it wasn't bad. It was bearable. It's not only Fools and Horses, is it? That's the real Christmas treat.
Well, that's coming back, isn't it?
Yeah, but only for
one.
Yeah, like a 15-minute thing.
Oh, it's a 15-minute thing, is it?
I don't know. It's comic relief, 15-minute.
Oh, right. If it's comic relief, it's bound to be shit then.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if it's comic relief or child in need or whatever, but
Actors in need or something.
Yeah. But of course, it's all soaps, isn't it? Really, that's TV. And I do remember somebody putting on Twitter, like what a great advert for Christmas Day with like murder and people crying on EastEnders. It's like a trailer of what's to come. You're like, thanks for that. I won't watch it. So I didn't watch a lot of TV. From a personal point of view, I never drunk much alcohol either. It was just can't really these days. No.
Well, Christmas Day, so it was just a bit of a veggie out session.
Yeah.
Boxing Day I worked just to get some extra cash.
Yeah.
And then the kids came over after, and they were for nearly a week. So my proper Christmas Day, like in the sense of family and doing all the sort of family stuff, was actually on the 28th. When the kids came over and did stuff at mine. So. But that was cool. I didn't get any video game related stuff.
You didn't? No?
I didn't. No. I got nerd related stuff.
Okay.
Got bit of Transformers and I won't go into exactly what, but
cool.
And some Lego Star Wars for my kids, which was awesome.
Nice, very nice. Yeah,
a Lego A-wing fighter. So that was awesome. So that's it's made me hunger for more Lego Star Wars now.
You played the video games, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's actually made me want to play them again.
Yeah.
Because I had the original trilogy and the two separate games, Lego Star Wars on the Xbox, but they released it again as a combined edition, didn't they? The Lego Star Wars Saga.
Yeah, which is the best one to get.
Yeah, which is actually the same two games with a few extra bits and pieces, but it means you can get loads of new achievements.
That's very true. Yeah, that's an odd one actually. When you think about that, because they released, like you said, they released like the second set of 3 films as one game, and then they did the whole 6 as another, and yet you could repeat the 3 that you've already done and get a new set of achievements.
The two sets of 3 films were 2 separate games.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
So there's 3 Lego Star Wars games, bizarrely. So
crazy.
But no, I will look to get that at some point. It seems to have held its value really well, though.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
And it's still like sort of 15 quid. It's like what? Yeah. It's like 6 years old, isn't it?
I know. Well, as I mentioned before Christmas, I picked up on Steam some Lego games. What did I grab? I grabbed Lego Batman 2, Harry Potter, 5 to 7, and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
For it was $9, so whatever that translates to. So all 3 of those games, probably about 5, 6 quid.
Wow.
So that just gives you the value of Steam. Same game.
Yeah. It's all good.
Under the hood.
Yeah.
Just something to think about. Christmas Day, good stuff. I didn't get much either. It's all about the kids.
That's right.
I did get a new set of headphones.
Okay.
Which the ones that I broke on that notorious flight back from Russia.
Yeah.
So they got replaced with some nice Sennheisers, which are pretty cool.
Cool.
And I did get a Steam voucher, which I'll talk about a bit later.
Yeah.
I'll talk about the sales. The kids got some tablets.
Great.
And I don't mean, paracetamol. There you go, enjoy yourself. No, there's just some sort of Android tablet things which frees up my iPad for me now, and they're happy watching Twitter and playing Minecraft on it. They did exactly what they're doing on that they could do on mine.
Yeah.
So for about a fifth of the cost. So, to buy 2 iPads would probably cost you upwards of 600-700 quid.
Oh. Yeah,
easily. Whereas I got 2 Android tablets for I think it was 150 quid combined. So that was their main
150 quid combined?
Yeah, they're 75 quid each.
Wow.
Yeah. So
they just got to get one of myself.
They've got a really odd name. They're called a Joy Tab.
That they sell those in nightclubs.
So
get a Joy Tab down your son. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an iPad. I'll because the screen's a little bit less responsive, but it works. And if you've never really used an iPad in anger, then you'll be perfectly happy with this. Plays games.
As well,
Yeah, and I think the memory's upgradable as well. It came as 16 gig, and
where'd you get that from?
It's just off some website. So it's quite a reputable one. I don't know which one. We ordered them online. They were, and I checked out all the reviews. Sure,
it wasn't from your trip to Russia.
No. like being a typical geek, we never just spontaneously buy a piece of gadget these days, do we? We analyze, we review, we go to Amazon, we go to YouTube.
Yeah.
It's thoroughly, that's my part of the Christmas shopping. Analyzing whether the bit we're about to buy is worth buying, and then I say yes, buy it, wifey, and off she goes. So so yeah, that was their main present. And this year we actually kind of hopefully there's no young children listening, but we talked about Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And whilst he did make a visit, whilst he did supply lots of presents, the main present, this joy thing, was from us.
Yeah.
Because last year we bought them a Wii last year and an Xbox 360.
Yeah.
And all we heard all day, I love Santa. Oh, Santa loves me. I'm so happy with Santa. It was like, hang on, he's getting all the credit here. So we decided to say Santa still turns up.
Yeah.
Brings you lots of presents, but Mummy and Daddy buy you the main one.
That's a good idea.
Just because last year Santa Claus was the bee's knees, I hate you. What did you buy me? A pair of socks? Santa bought me an Xbox. So and our kids are a little bit older than yours, aren't they? So
yeah,
that time is on its way. That time I'm on about.
Yes.
When Christmas becomes.
Well, my kids haven't got any gadgets yet. It was it's still toys for them. So it's all good.
And that's when they appreciate you and love you. They become little people.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. That's Christmas Day. So Christmas Day for me was all about, I quite liked it really, because whilst I didn't personally get anything, I spent all day fiddling with gadgets.
Yeah.
That, to help the kids just learn them, and it's quite good fun really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I got sort of clothes and bits and pieces really. Got a Saints shirt though, which is quite cool.
Oh right. Oh, what the home or away?
The home one.
Yeah, so. I'm not too sure about the away one. That giant V on it. It looks a bit odd.
Yeah, just need to start winning some fucking games now.
Yeah.
They're terrible.
I know. Yeah, although what was the game on TV the other day?
Oh, the cup game.
Was it Chelsea?
Oh, yeah, Chelsea. We lost 3-0.
Oh no, the cup game. Yeah, that when on ITV when they were like 4-3, wasn't it? That was, it's a really good one. Yeah. So there we go. Yeah. So what about New Year? What did you do? I know we.
New Year, I did absolutely nothing.
Right.
Like my kids were with me, so I was at home with the kids, and the kids went to bed, and I watched a bit of telly, and then I went to bed like about 10:30.
Yeah, because we just had a couple of friends around who bought their bloody. Actually, I better be nice because they may one day listen to this. But our lovely friends who bought their lovely puppy as well. So of course, you combine 2 young children and a puppy in a small house. It's usually chaos. And the puppy was a German Shepherd dog, so it wasn't. It was a puppy, but it stood nearly. If we stood on its hind legs, it was as tall as me. So of course it was belting around the house, and it was really well behaved generally, but the kids just kept winding it up, and they never really went to sleep till midnight. I had a cold coming on. Sound really grumpy, don't we? You're in bed at 10:30. I had a cold and I wanted to be in bed at 10:30, but I forced myself to do the midnight thing.
Yeah.
So have we had a New Year's Eve together? Yeah, you had a party once, didn't you, around your house? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was years ago, wasn't it? That was probably the last time I
we
really
did
got
DJ.
hammered. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we had a party at mine, and me, I did some DJing for about an hour or two, and then other people took turns, didn't they? That was quite cool.
It was. It was.
That's probably the last New Year's that I've had that was actually proper full-on party. Because I've either been working or in the last 5 years, the kids, and
yeah,
don't do it. Unless you go to a really cool house party, I always find New Year's a bit of a letdown anyway. Because if you go out, like you go to the same sort of pubs that you go to normally, and they're charging you extra to get in.
Yeah.
drink the same beer you drink all the time anyway.
Yeah, and there's more chances of getting into a fight because people are more pissed than they normally are.
This is true. So I just don't generally do New Year's, to be honest. So hey, we're old bastards. That's the way it goes. You get old and you don't want to waste money, and that's the way it
goes. Yeah, no, that's very true. So that's New Year, all done and dusted. So did you go back to work pretty soon after that? Then did you?
I was back to work on New Year's Day.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I think I was back to work for 3 days, and I had another 2 or 3 off. But yeah, back to reality very, very quickly.
Yeah. Of course, my New Year's Day, I had to take my old man into hospital, where he still is. Where are we? The 10th of January. He's been in there for 10 days now.
Really? Yeah.
And, I think he's got to face another 2 weeks, so he's pretty poorly, the old sod. So that's a good start to the new year for him. In fact, he did ring me about 8 o'clock New Year's Eve. Well, maybe about 6 o'clock New Year's Eve, and said, "Oh, I've got to go into hospital. Can you take me?" When? Now? I was like, it's New Year's Eve, Dad. He went, "Oh, all right, I'll wait till the morning." I was kind of almost going, "It's New Year's Eve, Dad." I'm drunk. I can't drive. I hadn't actually.
I hope he gets well soon, anyway.
Yeah, get well soon, Dad. Yeah, so of course then we went back to work, and there we are, and that's kind of probably where we are now. So what did you experience? Anything? I mean, I was going to talk about some things that I watched, and something I watched recently. I might. We'll just briefly talk about this. I really recommend it, and it's the Dark Knight Returns, the Batman animated.
Okay, yeah, no, I've not seen that.
There's a set of films. I think there's part 1 and part 2. I've seen part 1 at the moment, and it's in the same kind of animated feel as the Watchmen. The real dark. And I must admit, it's probably one of the best Batmans I've seen. I rate it. I personally rate this animated film better than the last Batman film.
Wow.
Because I thought the last Batman film was bloody awful. I could not. I thought, what was the one with the Joker in?
That was the Dark Knight.
The middle one, yeah, the Dark Knight. Now I quite like that, but gradually Batman's voice is becoming
a bit of a stereotype joke thing.
It is, and then combine that with the villain in the latest film. I couldn't understand. I had to watch it with subtitles because I couldn't hear what they were saying.
You must be punished, Batman.
Ridiculous, fucking ridiculous. So the cartoon goes back to basics. In fact, this particular one, it's based on the book or the cartoon animated novel. Where they've actually retired. I think Batman's about 50.
Okay.
He's an old man. He comes out of retirement. So if you've seen Batman Year One, which has also been made into a film, it's exactly the same as that. It's really, really good. So if you get a chance to check it out, I really would. You've got iPhone, haven't you?
I do have an iPhone, yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's something on the iTunes store, which you'll probably check out as I'm talking about it, that's actually free at the moment. And it's called Cartoon HD.
Okay.
It's really worth slipping into your iPhone because it's usually about 20 quid.
Right.
It's free, and it contains every cartoon series you can think of. Plus, yeah, trust me. And I put it in. I found The Simpsons, and I thought, okay, no, every Simpsons, every Family Guy, every Futurama, every Tom and Jerry, every Barbie. If you want to watch Barbie,
possibly not Barbie, but
but it's good for the kids, But of course, if you get it now and you ever got an iPad in the future, you could re-download it to that for nothing. So it's worth grabbing, and it's only about 3 megabytes.
Yeah, and obviously the stream stuff.
Yeah, and this is where the Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and Part 2 is. So I'd recommend. I know watching on an iPhone isn't great, but it's all right if you're laying in bed and drifting off to sleep and you want to watch something and you don't want to. You roll on your side then, couldn't you? But anyway, yeah, Cartoon HD. It's free. It probably won't be by the time we go up on the iTunes, but this podcast goes out. But if it does, check it out and see if it's still free. But
definitely.
So yeah, so of course in my sort of roll up now of what I'm gonna sort of start talking about is over Christmas they had a Steam sale on. You know,
Yeah.
when I was in Russia, they had a sale on then, and that was like late November, early December.
Mm.
That was an autumn sale, and then I think starting about the 20th of December, they had the Christmas sale, which is all the same stuff.
Yeah.
But you just failed to pick it out. And of course, then I got a voucher for Christmas. So you probably saw on my notes, I ended up buying 46 games.
Yes, I did see.
I just I just got a little bit addicted.
And how many of them have you actually
Well,
played?
this kind of brings me on to the next subject
Yeah.
of game hoarding. Digital game hoarding. I don't. I'm looking at my list, and I can see my list right in front of me now, and it'd be cool for you to come around and have a little browse through and see what I've got. I mean, I've got some fantastic stuff.
Mm.
I picked up every Sonic game for
Yeah.
for a tenner, and I mean every Sonic game, all the classics right the way through to all the racing games, the new ones, Sonic Generations, Sonic Episode 4, which I'll talk about in a bit. It was like $9.99, and I was getting things like Tomb Raider, the new Tomb Raider game, for
Yeah.
£4.
Wow.
I got Metro Last Light for 4.99, 5.99, I think it was. Got Left 4 Dead 2 for free.
Okay.
Steam gave that away for free on Christmas Day. So Left 4 Dead 2. I mean, I've never completed it. I don't think you really do you?
No.
I got Half-Life, the complete Half-Life series. That was about £6.
Yeah.
What else? I get Far Cry 3 for a fiver. Bioshock 1, 2, and Infinite.
Yeah.
For eight. Well, it's $9. That was. So what's that? £6 for the
It's
three.
just crazy prices. It's amazing.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. I got Borderlands Game of the Year edition for like £3.99.
Mm.
I got Alan Wake
Alan Wake, yeah, yeah.
for £1, and the Nightmare for £1.74. I also got the game which I'm going to check out. I haven't played it yet. Called Brothers, which was in a lot of people's Game of the Year for last year. It was on the Xbox Arcade, so I got that for a couple of quid. Got all the Grand Theft Autos.
Yeah.
It just goes on. Mark of the Ninja. Just crazy, crazy games. In fact, I bought a load more pinball tables. Trials HD, which I've already got, but
So, which of them have you actually been playing? If
well,
we talk about what games we've been playing, shall we?
hang on then. Let's a nice little segue there, Rob.
Yeah.
So let's kick off with what I have been playing then.
Mm.
So I think let me start with something that's it's not on Steam, something that we talked about quite a bit before Christmas that we were going to do. Finally got round to playing Lego Marvel Heroes.
Yes.
On the 360 with in fact I did it multiplayer with my son.
Yeah.
Incredible game, absolutely a hilarious game. I'd say the cutscenes are the funniest
They always are, aren't they?
Lego cutscenes I've seen on all the games. They're absolutely hilarious. Gameplay's really well. It's really responsive, really good. I've got a really major gripe with it though. Oh my god, yeah. And I think if you got it, you'd love it. No problem. The major gripe is multiplayer.
Okay.
Because I think, have you played multiplayer on a Lego game before?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. Now, when they first started out, they kind of had a split screen, and the split was down the middle or across the, either vertical or horizontal.
Right.
Can't remember which way.
Mm.
And it sticked, so you were always on the left or always on the right. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, what happens in Lego Marvel Heroes multiplayer is that the split screen kind of moves.
Right.
You can be at the bottom, then all of a sudden your partner will go somewhere else on the screen. All of a sudden it will flip, and you're on the top, and it looks like the line that's dividing you is moving. It moves left, right, up, down. It's all over the place.
Oh no.
And you just don't know who you are, where you are, or what you're doing half the time. And that's my major gripe with it. So we did about 3 levels. And then I decided to knock it on the head on a multiplayer point of view because I've got it on Steam anyway. I'm going to play it on my own.
Yeah.
And I think I'll really enjoy it a lot more. But yeah, real poor, very poor No, I know one of the original Star Wars games. I think you could play online multiplayer, which would give you and your partner a whole screen each, which would be perfect. But this was awful for local.
I think if I remember correctly, the early Star Wars games, when you did multiplayer, if one of you went off the screen, you kind of blew up into bricks.
That's
and
it. Yeah, yeah.
You respawn back in the middle, so you could never really separate. But it was okay. It kind of worked, you know.
That kind of works. Yeah. Whereas this one, they've kind of allowed you to go off screen from each other, but then everything goes really small. And the multiplayer dividing line just sort of it's almost like it's spinning around in circles. It's just chaotic.
It does sound like a bit of a game-breaking flaw, really.
Yeah, definitely. So otherwise, it's lived up to my expectations on what I've heard, and and all the other Lego Marvel, Lego games. It's absolutely superb. But just if you're thinking about doing multiplayer, just think again, or do it after you've done the single player, and then that'll allow you to kind of live with it. You experience a story through once, and then you'll experience it through again as multiplayer, and you won't be so pissed off with it. I don't think. So that's. But we spent a couple of days playing that, and then of course he just went back to bloody Minecraft again.
Yeah.
Actually, just a little aside there. I had a report through from there's a very good website called Raptor.
Okay.
It's RAPTR, and it tracks your video game playing. So if you were to sign, I don't know, have you heard of it before?
I have. I've seen it on your Twitter feed.
Yeah, if you sign up to it and just put in your gamer tags there, it'll send you a report every week to say what you've been playing and what your average of all your friends and average of everybody. Now, I had a report yesterday from Raptor that said that last week my friends on average played 4 hours of Minecraft.
Yeah.
The average person on Raptor played 9 hours, and my report said that I played 36 hours of Minecraft last week. Now, bearing in mind, we work for 40 hours, so that's literally a whole week's worth of work of Minecraft. So that's what my son's been racking up.
Yeah, playing quite a bit. Because he uses your gamer tag, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
You use another one sometimes.
Yeah, I'm actually using my daughter's at the moment for GTA Online, which
we'll talk about a bit.
Yeah, I might leave that to my last game, actually.
Yeah, we can cross over because I've been playing that a lot.
Maybe that'll be your first, and then we'll kind of merge those two together. Okay, so moving on, I played a game called Dishonored.
That's a fantastic game.
On the PC. A game that, had been in my pile of shame on the Xbox, actually, to be honest with you, for a good year now. It's been got it, never put it in.
It's brilliant.
Because I think I'll tell you the reason why I got it, and then it kind of got delayed playing it, and then BioShock Infinite came out. And
they are quite similar. Yeah,
they are. Yeah, and that kind of took precedent over it.
What do you think?
Incredible. I've done the first 3 levels. Probably been playing for about 2 hours now on it.
Yeah,
and, it's fantastic. I'm just starting to get all the special effects with the sort of the way you can teleport yourself around the map.
Yes. It gets better. There's so much stuff you can do. Have you got to the bit where you can start to possess rats?
No, but I know you can. Yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to that. But graphically, it's just a stunning game to look at on the PC. I don't know what it was like on the console, but
it's fantastic.
Everything is crystal clear and
brilliant graphics, but a brilliant game engine, and the fact that you can play it in so many different ways.
Yeah,
it does kind of encourage you to use your brain, and a bit like BioShock does to an extent, but even more so. You can't just run in there and shoot people because you'll die.
Yeah, that's it. You got to.
I've never been a massive fan of stealthy games like Splinter Cell and all that stuff. I never really sort of dig that kind of game, but this makes like the stealthy approach.
Oh yeah,
very rewarding.
Yeah.
And I just it's such an open world. It's not like a what they call it, sort of a rail track game where you kind of just have to go a certain route.
Yeah. No, that's
You've
right. You
got
choose the route, don't you? And
yeah,
it's
4 or 5 different ways of doing it.
yeah, yeah. In fact, there's lots of achievements for going through the game without killing anyone, isn't there?
There is.
So you can see how it's only the human or the player that is the violent,
Yeah,
the violent anarchist.
absolutely.
And I suppose a little bit like GTA in a way, because yes, you can do some very naughty things, but you don't have to.
Mm.
So, do you know what I mean? It's only the player that forces the character to do those things, not the character, not the other way around. Do you know what I mean? So,
Very
yeah,
yes.
yeah. Anyway, but
Very
yeah, yes.
insightful of you.
So I'm not too sure how long the game is. I would imagine it's got some DLC content with it as well. I mean, I picked this up for less than £4
Yeah, it's
with
not
DLC.
huge. It's not
Yeah.
huge. I forget. I think it's about 10 missions.
Okay.
So you're looking at maybe 15 hours worth of gameplay. I mean, I only played it through once. I did it kind of relatively sneaky way, with the occasional, resorting to more brutal methods. But I intended to replay it again and try and get the 0 kill achievement. So like be super
Okay.
super sneaky. I never got around to it, to be honest, and it's kind of passed me by. But at some point I probably will. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no, it's very good, and I do like the way it's in the BioShock Infinite kind of because I really like that game, and although I've
yeah,
probably only
I've still not played it.
yeah, well, I've only done about 40% of BioShock Infinite. In fact,
Hmm.
I haven't finished 1, 2, or 3 of BioShock, so I'm a real starter of games, but don't get to finish them. So I really should, and hopefully maybe doing this type of sort of podcast show that might actually spur me on to get to the end of some games.
Yes, encourage you to do greater things.
Exactly, but with over 100 games sat in my Steam file at the moment, I'm going to try and do that most definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's it. Yeah, Dishonest really looks an amazing game from what I played,
Dishonest.
and I would imagine it's quite cheap on the console now, being it's been out for a year or so.
Yeah, you can pick it on eBay for under
£10.
tenner easily.
Yeah, get the Game of the Year edition if you can. It's probably worth the stretch. I've
Yeah.
been
Well,
reading.
it won so many awards
Yeah,
back in 2012. It was really that year's game. So.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So okay, so my next game I picked up on Steam for 99p, and
Okay.
and it was Just Cause 2.
Just Cause, yeah.
Which is a couple of years old now, but
Mm.
there was a very good reason for picking it up.
Mm.
I do actually own it on the PlayStation 3.
Mm.
I've played a bit of it, played about 2 or 3 hours. It's a sandbox game for me. It's
Yeah.
just get in, cause some havoc, have a bit of fun, not really get anywhere and do anything. So, but the real reason I picked this up was because they've just added a multiplayer mod to it,
Okay.
and it can support. Now, are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Up to 6,000 players in one
One
server.
session. Wow.
Right. So, now I've been on a server that had about 700,
Yeah.
and it was fucking chaos. But the best chaos you've ever had in your life. All you do is you stand on like a hill, right?
Yeah.
When you first, because you parachute in
Yeah.
and you land somewhere, and as you're parachuting in, you can see in the distance just carnage going on. Like everybody is flying around. There's cars. There's explosions. You can join races with about 100 people in the race,
Wow.
and it's very, very well done. Very well done. I mean, it has for a quid, it was an absolute no-brainer. And it's just been released. The it doesn't really enhance what you could already do in there, but it's just added many, many, many players into the arena, and
Yeah, certainly a bit bigger than GTA for multiplayer.
just slightly. And
Yes.
we'll talk about this in a minute. The
Yeah.
experience of actually getting in and doing something was very slick.
Yeah.
I was in and doing something within about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So that was, but then again, it's a mod. It's not an official by just developers. So, but it's been supported by them, and Steam have supported it and released it as a standalone. You don't have to. I mean, you need to own the game, but you don't have to load up Just Cause to get to the multiplayer. You just go to the multiplayer tab and off you go. So incredible. I had to pick it up for £1 just to see what all the hype was about, and so it came out middle of December.
Oh, sweet! That sounds really cool.
Yeah, so I don't know if 6,000 is the maximum, but that's the tagline that got me interested.
Yeah,
a little peek at that. But yeah, Just Cause 2. It's only on the PC. You won't be able to do that on.
No, I guess that.
yeah. So another one that I picked that I got for free, that I mentioned just a moment ago, was Left 4 Dead 2, which I hadn't really played for a couple of years. It's a great game. I did like the original. Do I remember you and I playing the original demo?
We did.
Do you remember the demo that came out where you were wandering through that house and all you had was your pistol and your torch and you had to open up rooms and...
Yeah. I played the original game.
Yeah.
I actually had it for a brief time, but I kind of didn't really get on with it too well. I don't know. I thought it was okay, but
yeah,
I've never played the second one.
Well, again, with the as being a PC game, it's been modded to the nth degree.
Yeah.
And there are sort of about 15 to 20, I don't know the exact count, but it's about 15 maps in there now. I think their original had about half a dozen.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of mod development on it. So people have been designing their own worlds for you to, their own. So I think each sort of area came with about 4 or 5 chapters, didn't it?
Yeah.
Culminating in the get to the chopper at the end.
Yes, pretty much.
Which was bloody. This used to freak the shit out of me because, you're playing the game and then all of a sudden you had to do that final bit where you're going to set the final wave. Whilst, right. Call for the chopper, isn't it? And then you got to fight off, and then you're going to rescue yourself. So so that was free. So I'm not going to complain about that. I'm not really going to talk about it. But it's just something I've been playing, tweaking around with. I can't. I've got a bit of a problem with it because it actually crashes on both my PCs. So with so much else to play, I haven't really investigated the reason why. So I'll get to the bottom end of it sooner or later. But it looks stunning, plays really well. Problem is, only get about 5 minutes and then it shuts down. In fact, it actually shuts down the PC. That's quite a serious crash.
So infects your PC with a zombie virus, basically.
Yeah, maybe. So it just renders it completely dead for about 2 minutes until you can turn it back on. I don't know if it's overheating my fan. I don't know. Maybe the mod might be making the fan overheat and shut it down. But it's all fun stuff. I'll find out. So So of course the next game is Sonic the Hedgehog 4. Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1. So these are a couple of DLC contents that they released on Xbox Arcade that came as part of my PC package, and I really liked it. I really, really liked it. If you like, they've really made it's HD version of the original Sonic, basically, but they've it's different. But it plays the same. It's that same kind of left to right side scrolling, and that's all it does. It doesn't get too fancy.
Yeah.
So there's no 3D Sonic where you're running sort of ahead. They're terrible. It is back to the classic. Really, really good, really fast. That's what Sonic was all about, wasn't it? Speed and just hundreds of rings, and it's just a very, very good. Latest attempt at the Sonic franchise, really, and I just kind of wanted to mention that I've been playing that quite a bit.
Cool.
And worth getting if you see it on a cheap. Now, another game, moving on very quickly, is Splunky. I picked that up for a couple of quid again, and I don't know if you know anything about Splunky. It came out sort of middle of last year, I think, on Xbox and PC and PlayStation, and
never heard of it. To be
never
honest.
heard of it, right? Okay, so think about this. I looked at how long I've been playing it. I've been playing it for an hour and 45 minutes in total. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, for an arcade game that costs a couple of quid, that's usually a good value for money.
Yeah.
When I tell you there are hundreds of levels, and I can't get past level 3.
Really?
Yeah. Now, when I'm telling you, this is a balls hard game. It's friggin' hard. It's how can I describe it? It's a platformer.
Okay.
Where every time you start the level, it's different.
Okay.
Okay, so you can't learn it.
Right.
So that's the key part. That's one of the key selling points. It's got some sort of game editor that behind the scenes where every time you load up the level, it's the layout of the map is different. So you've got to relearn that new map for that point in time.
Yeah.
So the idea is to get to the cave because it's all about mining and going deeper and collecting keys and saving the damsel and rescuing her and getting her to the next, getting her out of the map. And there are some, it's your usual stuff. You've got a whip. It's a bit like plays a bit like Indiana Jones, I suppose, but it is. How can I describe it? Do you remember Manic Miner?
I certainly do. Yeah.
Imagine the kind of like you start bottom left, the key's in the top right, and you got to somehow get there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, they've expanded that and made it huge, so you don't know where the key is. And you can also get shotguns and power ups, and it's very, very good. It's very worth looking. It's worth looking at. I think if you like old school and really, but the problem is, it's for me, it's a little bit too hard.
Okay.
But saying that, if it was too hard, why have I nearly put in 2 hours? Do you know what I mean? It's got a really good. I've got to get past this replayability factor.
Sounds like the sort of Super Meat Boy sort of way of gameplay that is balls hard, but you just want to keep going back.
Exactly. It's very much like that. So they've got the main quests where there are about 4 main areas. Now, like I say, I can't get past level 3 of level 1, so It's going to be. It's like Now, I heard a comedian mention this a few years ago. When you buy a piece of media content, like an album, say buy an album, and when you first try to play it, you can't listen to track 7 and 8 or 9 until you've listened to track 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Imagine if that media did that to you. And you say you wanted to listen to track 9, and it said no. You can't do that because you haven't completed track 3 yet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm being denied the content that I purchased.
Yeah.
Because I'm shit at the game. And you wouldn't get that, would you? Like not in a movie, in a music. It's just video games that seem to penalise you. I know that.
That's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah, I think it was Dara O'Brien. He probably put it in a different light to what I said there, but I kind of heard him say that a few years ago, and I thought, oh yeah. And this is the first game where I thought, actually, yeah, I'd like to see what the later levels look like. Cause it's a really nice game to look at, but I don't think I'm ever going to see them. I really don't think I'm ever going to see them unless I cheat. Which might be on the cards soon. So, it's just that type of game. But yeah, again, Splunky, very odd name to tell your kids. Who wants Splunky?
That's on 360, is it?
Yeah, I think it's on 360. It's a pretty meaty demo, so worth checking out if you think. It was on sale over Christmas for about 2 or 3 quid on the Xbox, but it's probably gone up to about 11 or 10 now. So, but it'll be on sale again, and it's worth checking out the demo because when you do see it on sale again, you can grab it. So you already thought you like it, but yeah, I think it's a game for you more than me because you probably would be able to persist and get.
It sounds like something I would like. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it's really hard. It's really retro. It's got that retro feel about it, but bloody hard. Anyway, so my penultimate game before we get into something that we've both been playing. I'll talk about it very briefly because we want to speed on a bit. It's Devil May Cry, which came out again early last year, and it's made it onto PlayStation Plus. So it's a freebie.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really going to bother with it because our last Devil May Cry I played was probably back in about 2002. In fact, I think I borrowed it off you because you had a PlayStation 2.
Yeah, on the Apple PS2,
yeah. And it was a very good game back then. And I saw it come out and I thought, oh, Devil May Cry, nah, not really interested. And then I heard one of my favourite podcasts, which is Chet and John. They both of them gave it their Game of the Year. So that prompted me to kind of think, oh, well, I've downloaded it. I might as well have a look. And what a game. What a game. Absolutely bloody incredible. I would almost put it as a Pringle game. Like the Pringles where you have one and you can't
stop,
Whereas Devil May Cry was a little bit like that for me. I probably completed the first 3 chapters of it, gave it about an hour. I had to go out I haven't revisited it since, but I really want to. It's the gameplay and the graphics and the whole surrounding of it is it's just superb, absolutely superb. And I really stress that I think this podcast should go up very soon, and I think it's free on the PlayStation 3.
Yeah,
We've got PlayStation Plus until about the end of January. So if you haven't
wow.
if you haven't checked it out, check it out, because it's a lot of people's game of the year, and I was caught me out. I didn't even know it existed. Let's just say.
No, well, it's one of those franchises that you just keeps going, isn't it? A bit like Resident Evil, and you think, wow, they're still making those games, you know. And there's never been a bad series, but I think it was the first. I played the first two, and then I kind of drifted away from it. And like you say, it was back in the PS2 days. So you're talking, well, 8 years ago, possibly.
Yeah, a bit like movies. Games like to reboot every now and again, don't they?
Yeah.
Because it was just called Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
No, I would imagine this is about the fifth or sixth one, rather than, to me, if it said Devil May Cry 6, I go, ah.
Yeah. But I don't honestly know.
But a lot of times they do release the HD version of the original game as well. So I probably saw it and I thought it was that, but this is actually a new game. And to make things really, really cool, I think there's a soundtrack of the game is by Combi Christ, which is one of Steve's favourite bands. So that kind of got me interested as well. So yeah. So that's what I've been playing quite a lot. Sorry to bore everybody, but it's been quite a good sort of period. A lot of time off work, a lot of games.
Yeah.
And also, probably the most amount of game playing I've been doing, especially in the last week. Yes. I reckon I've played about 10 hours plus now.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, and Rob, tell us what that game
is. Of course, GTA Online. I mean, I've been playing a lot of Grand Theft Auto 5. I mean, we talked about it last podcast, and I've probably done about 12 hours at that point.
Yeah.
I'll probably put another 20 hours on top of that. Since I'm about 50% through the game.
Is this the single player game?
This is the single player mode. And it's still awesome. It's still all the things that we said last time about the story and the plot development and just all the little things, little touches and stuff are great. But I'd never played the online version until I decided that I would get finally upgrade to gold.
Yay!
Xbox Gold, which I hadn't had for probably at least 6 months.
Yeah. To anybody who's listening to this and they haven't got Xbox Live Gold and you haven't got GTA Online, I wouldn't bother. I'd say this is the only reason to get it. If you're not into your shooters, then and you just play single player, don't bother. But if you're going to play GTA, it's a must. I really.
This is the thing. I mean, GTA Online obviously had a lot of problems when it first launched. I think it was about a week or so after the game itself came out. But it is effectively a separate game, isn't it?
GTA
Online is effectively a separate game.
Yeah.
And so I got gold, and I gave you a shout to say, should we meet up online? We did a little bit of Gears of War 3, didn't we?
Yeah, we had about an hour on that, didn't we? Which was a nice. It was a nice kind of sort of hour to just shoot some stuff, and I kept having to tell my kids to go away.
Yeah, so you were chainsawing up.
I was because I like using the chainsaw a lot on Gears of War. Going, oh, what's this, Daddy? I'm like, cover your eyes, go away.
That game is nearly 4 years old now.
Yeah.
No, sorry, 3 years old. But it's still brilliant.
It is, and
it's still great, especially online.
And we picked it up like riding a bike, didn't we? Really?
Yeah.
It was very good.
So we had a little bash of that, and then it was like, let's give Grand Theft Auto a go, and we're both sort of a bit, let's see what it's like. Thinking it'll be a bit crap. So we load it up, make our characters. But mine, who looks a little bit like me, I would say.
He does. As we say, baldy locks.
Yeah. Bald with a leather jacket, that's pretty much me. So we loaded that up, did all the creation stuff. I would say, I'm sure you'd agree here, it was a little bit frustrating to begin with, wasn't it?
Yeah, because we kind of started the game. We expected to be like, let's meet, let's go and because we'd heard all about the robberies and the stuff you're just driving around together. But right, let's meet. We both kind of almost pressed that button at the same time. There's probably about a 20-second delay between one of us, and we were in the game.
Yeah.
What do we do now? I know. Let's do a 2-hour tutorial.
Tutorial, yeah.
Where we couldn't actually connect together until we finished it. I might exaggerate. It probably wasn't 2 hours. It was probably it was a good hour.
It wasn't far off. It was well over an hour.
Yeah.
I think it might have been an hour and a half because you have to do.
Well, I had some connection issues, didn't I?
You did.
I lost connection. It took me another 10 minutes to get back in, and then.
I mean, I understand you've got to do a tutorial because all games do, but let's be honest, who is going to play GTI online without having played the main game first?
Yeah, well, only people who pick it up now. I mean,
people pick it up now, maybe so, but everyone knows the game engine.
Yeah,
everyone knows how to drive a car in GTA, how to have a race, how to shoot people.
Yeah,
all basic stuff. So I just didn't really see the need for that to be so long, and it was kind of frustrating. But as soon as we were out of that, and we were starting to be out in the free open world and playing in the same game as each other, then it was just mind blowing because it is a whole new reality, isn't it?
It is. I mean, the first. How many times have we played it online this week? Probably about 3, yeah?
3, yeah. Each time for at least a couple hours, yeah.
Yeah, the first 2 times was kind of frustrating in a way because there was so much to do and we didn't really know what to do, did we? So half the time we were just sort of chasing each other around and trying to kill some other people, and we tried to do robberies, but we were terrible at it, weren't we, to start with? But it's, and then there was at one point that a good memory of this week. Where do you remember that time when both of us were underneath that tunnel? And,
yes.
We were just killing every cop that came
in
our sight.
Let's start from the beginning. You basically we were.
Yeah, sorry.
we started the game up, and we spawned either side of that massive lake, didn't we?
Oh, that's right.
And I decided, no, I'll just swim across the lake because neither of us could find a boat to get to the other side.
That's right.
So I get there, and then you say, let's have a little race. One of those spontaneous races back into the city, and try and find some people and go on a bit of a killing spree. So we both steal a car, and I end up shooting your tyres out.
That's right, and then I crash into a police car.
Yeah. So the cops are after you. So I burn into town, and while I'm doing that, you've got like the entire police force of the game after you, but you're holed up in this little tunnel. They can't get you unless it's one at a time.
Exactly, and I was killing. I had a big pile of policemen and when it subsided a little bit, I'd whip out the tunnel, pick up all their weapons, and whip back in and wait for I had the SWAT team after me. Everybody, it was.
Of course, I joined you, and I think at one point we were sort of standing next to each other shooting, and I accidentally pistol whipped you in the head.
You did, yeah. Thanks for that, by the way. Because I said, stand to the side of me, not behind me, otherwise you'll start aiming towards me with your gun. And so you stood too close, and then you just twatted me around the head and killed me. And I was like, oh, bloody hell. So that was a very good, memorable as well. And I think we we flew some planes. Do you remember I think one of the best bits that we did co-op in that game this week is when we were robbing the stores, but our getaway was the chopper.
Yes.
So we'd fly to a part of the map, rob a store, jump in the chopper, and then fly to another part, losing the police because they only had like one helicopter and only flew out their range. That was just superb. Actually, you did the first one, didn't you? And I kept the chopper running, and you let it back in. Because I was good. I stay in the getaway vehicle. I'm ready for my colleagues, just robbing the store. The next one we do, I'm in the store robbing it. I come out, you're there blowing up the petrol station pumps. I was like, get back in a bloody chopper. I'll drive.
And then we went to the airport, didn't we, and stole a chopper each, and then tried to land on the top of the tallest building.
That's right. It's just, and the hours we've put in so far. Have we done anything yet?
I think we've done 2 missions.
Yeah, we did that one mission where we trying to steal the tractors around the farm, and then I lost connection again. And then
we did the one we stole. We had to steal that car for the repo guy, didn't we? And
now, you weren't online last night, but I jumped on and I played about 3 hours of online last night. I say on my own, but now I got into a mission where I had to. 2 cars were driving around the maps. They were sports cars, and I had to retrieve them and take them back to the dealership.
Yes, I've tried to do that mission on my own.
It's bloody hard, isn't it?
Yes. Now you've got to do that co-op.
Exactly. Now, if you're available later tonight, I'd really appreciate it. You're going to work, aren't you?
I'm going to work at 4.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's probably not on the radar today, but maybe over the weekends.
Yeah, definitely over.
Or I'd even have another go. I was doing that one mission for about 2.5 hours last night.
Did you complete it?
No, I
gave up.
One par at a time, and then by the time the second one come around, it's just so demoralising. I kept losing my life, and so yeah, it's got to be done with a few of you, But even so, I had such great fun with it,
Yeah, no, it's good. But I'd say. It's a fantastic game, but it's so much better when you're playing with someone who you know and you can talk to. And it's like living in a little bubble reality, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And you can go and play golf and play tennis. We haven't done that yet. We must do. We've you have the impromptu races and stuff. I mean, the main game world where I think they can host 16 players at one time. Which when you say that. Just Cause's 6,000. It's a little bit different, but it's still chaotic enough, isn't it?
It is indeed, yeah. I mean, I suppose a good thing about GTA is because I kept getting targeted by one bloke last night. We kept because you kind of respawn pretty close to where you died.
You do, yeah.
So he kept running me over, so he killed me about 4 times in a row, and I was still like dazed and scratching my eyes, going, "What's going on here?" So it started to piss me off. But at least I knew who it was. Whereas I think in Just Cause, it could be one of 100 people who's doing it. So there are benefits to it being more dedicated to a small amount of people. But I think the more anybody who knows us has got our gamer tags. Just send us some invites.
Should we say them again? We haven't said them yet.
In fact, go through yours, Rob, because I'm using my daughter's gamer tag. Not my.
Well, on Xbox Live, I'm Z Killer Frog.
Yeah.
Which is ZE space KILLA space Frog FROG.
Yeah. So if you want to play some GTA Online with us, send a friend request to Rob, and we'll be more than happy to shoot you in the face.
Yeah. Because your Ricky 32 one is don't really use that. We use another one.
No, I might go online with Ricky 32, but I'm using my daughter's gamer tag, which is a bit too long and a bit too personal to get out here. So, but you'll see me if you come on. So, yeah. So overall, I'm very, very impressed, and I think it's one of those games where, when I'm not playing it, I'm thinking about it.
Yes, I had dreams about this fucking game. Especially the first. I think it was the second time we played it, and we played it for a long time until quite late as well.
Yeah, we did. Then we went.
I did a couple of beers, and I literally was just dreaming about that game. It's bad.
Exactly. So a good game when it's all you can think about. I mean, it reminds me back in the days of Crackdown.
Yeah.
When we used to play that, and in fact, when I used to play that and then I used to go out driving soon afterwards, and you see one of those I don't know what the vehicles are. Those long vehicles where you can get they transport cars around the country on them.
Yeah. Just a car transport.
But when they haven't got cars in them, they look like ramps.
Yeah.
Don't they? And if you're driving towards one, you're thinking, what if I could make the jump? So, that's when you've been playing a little bit too long. So yes. I think GTA is a little bit like that. And that's one of the things that we haven't even started yet is looking for the jumps, because the stunt jumps in GTA was what it was all about in years gone by, finding those jumps.
I've done a couple in the main game. But,
I've done one.
We've just scratching the surface of the online game, but I'm sure for many podcasts onwards, we'll be talking about this game. So if you don't like GTA, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, it's going to be top of the pops for us. But of course, for me, I'm absolutely going to pick it up day one when it comes out on the PC. So because the modding ability that is there with GTA 4, where you can play as Iron Man in it, and just they just mod it to heck, and they'll do the same with GTA 5 because I suppose the console version's almost got its own mods in it because people can make their own content now. So
they can, yeah. That's being beated at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. So you can see how these developers are kind of like they make a great game, but things like Little Big Planet, Trials HD, and now with GTA Online, you make your own content and it keeps the game alive for many years. So that's yeah, good.
Cool.
Been playing anything else? Did you have any other time to play anything else?
I did play a few other bits and pieces. Get my words out. Despite Grand Theft Auto being awesome, I also picked up a very similar game to it, which is Sleeping Dogs, which is the free Xbox Gold game of the month, which is a game I've had before. Completed it, the basic story, and then traded it in. But it was a game I'd always be able to go back to. Very similar to GTA, sandbox game, but you play an undercover cop in Hong Kong. So you do missions for the triads undercover, and then also missions for the police as well.
Yeah.
And it's not, not a game I'll probably put loads of hours into anytime soon because of GTA. But for a free game.
It's
definitely worth getting. I mean, I think it's probably just over a year old.
I think it came out like November 12, didn't it? Just same time as all the big ones come out, sort of maybe October, November, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not an expensive game to pick up. Normally, I think you can get it for about $5, so it's Xbox.
Yeah, but for free.
Yeah, for free. It's definitely worth getting. If you've not played it and you like GTA, I would say it's better than GTA 4. It's not as good as GTA 5, but it's still a good game. It's definitely a good game.
Has it got a multiplayer component to it? I've not checked
that out.
Do
you know what? I don't actually know. There must be, because all these kind of sandbox games do.
Yeah. And then again, if we put it on, because I've got it as well, I picked it up on the Xbox as well. I would imagine if we said, "Oh, let's give it a go," we'll probably give it half hour, and then we'll be back on GTA, won't we? So
yeah, exactly.
Even if it has got one, we won't. I can't imagine anyone's playing it much.
No.
So
no, that's right. Yeah, I don't know if it has a multiplayer. I've never played it. If it has,
yeah.
But yeah, it's not as good as GTA, so it's probably a bit of a bad time to release that game because everyone's playing GTA now. They've sort of solved most of the online issues.
Yeah.
You still dropped out a few times, didn't you? But it's not as bad. No. I know when it first came out, it was unplayable by all accounts, but I didn't have it then. So, so yeah, that's Sleeping Dogs. What else have I been playing? I also picked up a couple of games in the Christmas sale. I can't remember if I mentioned this last time. I'm not sure if I did. Scott Pilgrim. I got the full game, having downloaded the demo a few weeks back because it was reduced. Ubisoft had a sale, and it was reduced to, I think it was about £1.20.
Perfect.
From about £8. So that was a bit of a no-brainer, really.
Yeah.
And that's a great game to sort of pick up and play, and it's still ridiculously hard, and I do still need to get Steve on there for a bit of multiplayer because I know he's completed it. So
need his help more than anything.
Yeah, I do. It's a scrolling beat 'em up with homaging everything sort of retro video game related, but it's just balls hard, So yeah, that's cool. Also picked up another game in the sale, which is Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the sort of the Street Fighter 2 style one-on-one beat 'em up, which has a load of Capcom characters, including a few of the Street Fighter characters. They're certainly not all of them, maybe 3 or 4 of them, and then other sort of random characters like Strider and Mega Man, sort of Capcom Capcom characters versus a load of Marvel characters. So you've got some of the X-Men, right. Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man.
That sounds cool.
It is cool. It's an old game. I think it was originally on the Dreamcast, I think. So 2002, maybe, something like that.
Cool.
Because it was originally an arcade machine, but the home port would have probably been the Dreamcast because it looks that sort of graphic style. It still plays really well. Well, I do love my Street Fighter.
You do, yeah.
One-on-one games. This is quite full on because you basically could choose 3 characters and play against 3 characters. Mm-hmm. So as you can switch in between the 3 characters at any time, and or also sort of team up and do like combos together. You know, those games are always about doing loads and loads of combos and 20, 30 hit combos and stuff. You can then call on one of your other guys to come out and sort of finish off the move, and it's cool. It's very complicated, and it also means that the battles are very long. Most of them end up in timing out.
Oh, really?
You've got like a 99-second.
Yeah. I'm usually dead by the 90th second.
So, in the old Street Fighter games, you could sort of take someone out in sort of 5 seconds or whatever. But this is much more sort of strategic. In there for the long haul. I haven't given it. I must say, I haven't really given it a massive amount of time. I've probably only put in less than an hour, I'd say, because I got it. I got it over the Christmas period, it's cool. It was, I think it was $2.50 or something like that. And again, that's normally, close to a tenner. It's not worth a tenner.
Yeah. No, so 75% off. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Bargain.
The other one I was almost toyed to getting because that was in a similar offer. Was the X-Men arcade game from the early 90s? Do you remember that?
No.
It was a 4-player scrolling beat 'em up.
Okay, so like Scott Pilgrim, like the Turtles.
Yeah, like Turtles. Yeah. Streets of Rage, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But you control the X-Men because it was early 90s as well. It had that kind of cool sort of early 90s X-Men vibe to it. And that was, I think that was about $3.50. And I just thought, no, I'll just get the other one because I don't. I know I'm kind of the opposite to you. I don't like buying loads and loads and loads of games and then not playing some of them. I want every game I get, I want to invest some time into.
That's fair enough. Yeah, we're two ends of the spectrum, aren't we?
We are.
I'm a digital hoarder, and you actually play what you buy, which is the correct way of being.
No, it's not always, because sometimes I'll see something that's on offer and I think that's a really good price. I wouldn't mind buying that, but I've got X, Y games to play.
Yeah.
I won't buy it, and then a few months later I want to buy it, and it's gone back up to whatever it was before. So
very true. I suppose the only, in my defence, I suppose the only thing is if they stop releasing games as of now, I've probably got enough content to play through for another year. For this podcast, mainly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's some nice. Over Christmas time and over the holidays, there's always nice little bargains, and I'm sure in a couple of months when Easter comes around, they'll do it all again.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think that's the way that I seem to be gaming at the moment, is having one sort of massive marquee game like GTA 5, and then having these little arcade games to sort of tip me over when I've got half an hour free or something and don't want to go into a huge GTA mission or something. So that's cool. And the only other game we've been playing since we last spoke, and that was only really briefly, but is Contra 3 on the SNES.
Oh, yeah.
Reason being is we were talking about doing a spotlight on it at some point. We won't be doing it this week. I've got another SNES game we're going to talk about this week.
Good.
But when Steve joins us in a future podcast, that will be the spotlight, because I know he really liked it as well. It's a classic scrolling shoot 'em up. Have you played it? I know we loaded it up the other day.
We did. Yeah, that's right. We did. We loaded it up, didn't we? We had a little look at it, and I can't. From my own personal point of view, those games are very hard for me to play. I don't. I kind of, the repetitiveness of them
Okay.
The fact that I'm not so good at them.
Yeah.
I think they work better in some respects in co-op as well.
Contra 3 was always a game that was better as a co-op, but it was still great as a single player.
Okay. Yeah.
It has massive nostalgia value for me because it was.
And that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the first games I had on the SNES,
and if you can play it now and still enjoy it the way you did, yesterday, then it definitely holds some value, doesn't it? So.
Yeah, definitely. But I won't talk about that too much because so at some point we will do a spotlight on it.
Yeah.
But, so that's pretty much me.
Good. Wow. So yeah, sounds like loads of stuff, and sounds like you've been giving it a bit of a hammering then.
Yeah.
Poor 360.
Yeah, well, it needs to be used, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, we've obviously done a lot in the last 3 weeks or so. What we'll do now, if we take a break, a little musical interlude, and then we'll be back with some news. I've got a few retro news stories, but not many. I guess over Christmas people don't really.
Yeah, it is a bit quiet. I've got a couple of bits as well, mostly from the computer. I don't know what it's called, a CES. I'm thinking that's
the Consumer Electronics Show.
Yeah, I was thinking of computer exchange show.
Computer exchange, yeah.
It's not that, is it? They're not really exchanging money.
We've got some special deals for you.
Yeah, what's it? Consumer Electronics Show. Yeah, so some very big news, especially for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
okay.
The rest of the world, but yes. Yeah,
cool.
Take a short break. Yeah, good.
We will do. Just before we do, I should just give a big shout out to the 2 tracks that we used for the Christmas special, such as it was, which was Mr. Bill's 8-Bit Christmas, which was an awesome track. I'd never heard of him before, but that was very, very cool. Yeah. And a more sort of more retro flavoured Jingle Bells, the chiptune remix by Jake Allison. So thank you very much for those tracks. I'm sure you don't listen to this podcast, but if you do, then awesome. And if both those guys are on SoundCloud, so check them out. This week's track is a track called Game Boy Love by Busker Droid, who I must give a shout out to one of my YouTube buddies, Bubs, who got me into this band. I think it's just a one-man band, but it's an awesome sort of mix of chiptuney kind of retro bleeps and clicks, but also with sort of electronica stuff. So it's very cool, and he's Busker Droid's on YouTube and on SoundCloud. You can download a lot of his stuff for free. So definitely worth checking out. But this track called Game Boy Love. So have a brew, and we will be back shortly. Okay, guys, welcome back to the news, and we're going to talk about, well, modern gaming news first. So I shall hand it over to you, Mr. Ricky.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ricky. Okay, right. So, yeah, now this first piece of news is super new, hence the word news. Now, this week of the whatever we are in January, today's the 10th, so it must be about the week of the 6th of January. Consumer Electronics Show or Computer Electronics Show? Probably consumer, isn't it? Yeah, somewhere in America, there it's going on right now. Now, PlayStation has announced something called PlayStation Now, which is going to be their backwards compatible feature for the PlayStation 4. Meaning that now it's unconfirmed at the moment, but what I hope, but what I get will probably be two different things. What I want is for every PlayStation 3, 2, and 1 game to be available
to download.
No, to stream.
Okay.
Yeah. So now Sony bought a company called Gaikai maybe a year or 2 years ago, who were the online streaming gaming service.
Yeah.
Who then kind of stopped doing it because they got bought by Sony.
Yeah.
And now, so it's cloud gaming basically.
Yep.
And what I'm hoping this is going to be like, it's going to be like a Netflix for video games.
So that would be amazing.
Yeah. Now, I knew this was coming, and this was part of my. Now, the PlayStation 4 had so many reasons to get it, but I also knew that Gaikai had been bought by Sony, who are the online gaming cloud streaming service, and now it's coming to PlayStation. Now they're starting beta trials in America very, very soon.
So how would that work? Because obviously with a movie, you stream it, you watch it, it's gone. With a game, you kind of need to keep hold of it because you're not going to play it through in one session, are you? So.
Well, no, because they're going to be doing a subscription model.
Okay.
Yeah, where games are going to be. Have you used Netflix?
Yes, I have used Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah. So you start watching a movie on one device, and then you can go to another and pick it up. So it's kind of it saves you time. That's going to work the same way, isn't it? It's going to save your progress.
No, that's cool.
Yeah. And this is the most incredible thing that they're going to develop. They've developed a way where you don't actually need a console to play this cloud-based streaming service. You can play it on a Sony Bravia TV.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Now that's one of the ways. So basically, what they're doing, it's very clever. I mean, this could be some way of the future, where you don't actually need to buy the hardware in order to play the software. So now I know this is going on in businesses right now, but obviously it's now reaching the multimedia side in terms of being available to the general public. So this is very, very good news, very big news. So I don't think the Europe, UK are probably going to see light of this until the back end of 2014. But trials are going to be starting in America, sort of North America, very soon, with a look to releasing by the summer. So the first games that they're showing you are The Last of Us, which is the biggest game on the PlayStation 3 last year, and an amazing game. And they show people playing it. Now this is also incredible. You can play it on. People have been playing them on their PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
So this service is also available for the PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
So you don't have to get a PlayStation 4 to be able to use it. So you can play all of those great games that you never got round to buying, Last of Us, God of War, whatever else, as a subscription streaming service, without having to go out and buy the actual games. So obviously they're only available while you subscribe, and you think Netflix is like £6 a month?
Yeah.
And the value for money that people get out of that is intense. So hopefully if they keep it under a tenner and you've got a back catalogue of 3,000-4,000 games or whatever, it just be incredible. I hope it'll be like that, especially with those old retro stuff from PlayStation. Imagine playing, the early PES and beef.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean. And Devil May
Wipeout.
Cry, the original one for the
Yeah.
PlayStation 2. And it's there. And so not only can you play it on your PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita. What else did they show? The Sony Bravia TV. So you got the 4, the Vita, the PlayStation 3, the TV, the smartphone, and tablets.
That is game changing, isn't it?
It
That is
is. It can be.
Yeah. That's
So, sorry.
wow. I don't know quite what to say about that really, because if that takes off, that's going to completely revolutionise the way that we consume games, because it has really affected online movies, and
Massively.
It's wiped out like the likes of Blockbuster, hasn't it?
Well, pretty much, yeah.
Because of Netflix and Love Film and everything else.
Yeah.
So this could have massive long term impacts on the games industry, and very interested to see how it all works out. But that could swing me into getting a PS4, to be honest.
Yeah.
And not imminently, because I'm skint at the moment. But at some point in the next 12 months.
Yeah, exactly.
I was still leaning towards the PS4 anyway, because of all the debacle with the Xbox One pre-launch. But
exactly. This is the bit that's just pushing people over that cliff to make a decision.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd already made my mind up, and this is hard nailed it for me, really, because it was what I've always kind of wanted, this kind of thing. People want to play the old stuff still.
Yeah.
We are great advocates of that. We're going to be moving into that very shortly in a minute. But like you say, it's completely game changing. I knew it was around the corner for 2014. I'm so glad that they got in there first, because Microsoft and Xbox are only just looking at being able to broadcast Twitch, which PlayStation could do out the box. So they're 6 months behind. That's not even developed yet. They're just talking about it. It's not there. So
the 360 for me was the leader of the last generation. The current generation, whatever way you want to look at it. Yeah. But I do think that the PS4 and Sony are going to take the crown for certain, because they've just got so many more innovations, and it's cheaper as well, isn't it?
I know.
Which is a ridiculous thing. So
exactly.
Anyway. But yeah, that's an awesome story. I'd no idea about that. So
so I'm really chuffed about that. I'm really excited. I will get my PS4 in the very near future.
Yeah.
But of course, it's pulling at my wallet strings is my next piece of news, which is since we've been doing this podcast, I've talked a lot about Steam and how it's kind of changed my gaming habits. Now, because I'm able to do it whilst I'm on the move, you see, I can take my Steam comes with me, so to speak. Now, they're introducing a little challenge to the console market. Well, what they thought was going to be a challenge to the console market now this year with the Steam Box, which is their way of taking the power of a PC machine, the latest hardware, PS4, Xbox One technology, and putting Steam on the big telly.
Yeah.
Okay, because I could put Steam on my big telly right now. I could just walk the box over and plug it in, because they all have the VGA ports, don't they?
Yeah.
And it'll work fine. But this is their way of having a control pad that's based around some mouse technology, mouse and keyboard technology, as well as control pad, as well as the box, which just sits under the telly permanently. Now, that's great news, and I knew that was coming. But then they announced it this week, and the problem with it, that there were 13 versions of the Steam Box were announced, and this is just the first batch of boxes. Now, what they've done, instead of Steam making their own box like Microsoft, Sony, Steam, they've actually franchised it out to the different companies. Now, the most popular one that you may have heard of is a gaming PC company called Alienware.
Yeah.
So they're producing a Steam Box, with their look. Now, this takes me back to the old days of video players. Do you remember there was like a Sony video recorder?
Yeah.
Iowa video.
VHS
a Panasonic. and they all had slightly different shapes, different looks, but under the hood it did the same thing. It played a video cassette, didn't it? So this is going to be along the same lines. Now, the Steam boxes are going to vary from, I would say, now they're only in dollars, so I would say from around about $500,
right,
which is about 300 quid, which is affordable, slightly cheaper.
It won't be 300 quid when it comes over here, though.
Exactly. So there we go, and up to about $2,000.
Okay.
So now, and this is the problem. You see, now they've given us the alternative, the way of having a Steam box underneath the TV, but now there's in my opinion, there might be too much choice, and which one, if you can afford $2,000 on another box, a lot of people will spend half of that and build themselves an absolute mega machine that is also a computer, know, and plays a dual boot operating system. I just don't.
Well, no, it doesn't make any sense, does it? Because, like you say, two grand buys you a heck of a lot.
It does
of a PC rather than. No one's going to spend that. I mean, well, someone will, because there's always someone that wants to throw it away. But
I do get it because all the peripherals are ported to use with the box. Now, with the technology I use, I forgot to mention this. Over Christmas, I bought. I used my my PlayStation 3 controller as my Steam.
You did. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
And I've been using it as a wired one. So I bought myself oops. I'm not married anymore. I am now. So, I was playing me ring.
That's a whole new podcast.
I was so I bought a Bluetooth dongle for the back of my PC.
Yeah.
It costs about £8, and it's so tiny it just sticks around the back. And now I have a wireless controller that works with the PC.
Mm-hmm.
So this, and because Steam has something called Big Picture Mode, and effectively then uses the controller to move around the Steam screens, people could just do that and buy themselves a machine for even £300 would buy you a decent spec PC these days. It's just the size of the bloody box that you have to hide, and somehow get the sound to come out through your channel. So I do get it. It's HDMI. It's going to be fantastic. It's all linked together. But which one do you choose? And this has made life a little bit harder this week for me because I have my heart. I'm going to get a Steam box, and I thought it was just going to be one. It's a box, and it's like there's only one PS4. There's only one Xbox. Slight differences are maybe the size of the storage which goes inside. So, it's a lot to contend with, but I don't think I have to worry about it for a good 6 months yet. So
no, it's like any sort of new tech. You've got
still time.
There's always going to be people that rush in there straight away, but a sensible person waits a little bit longer just to see what, let the dust settle and see what's going to be the best option. It's not something that I'll go for, but it does intrigue me because of the cost of the games. As you say every week, the cost is ridiculous.
It is.
They're so cheap.
Yeah.
Even if you shell out £500 for the box, which realistically that's what it'll be over here.
Yeah.
$500 will equate to £500. It doesn't in the standard exchange rate, but it does when things get released over here. Even if you spend that much on there, which is obviously a lot more than the PS4 and a little bit more than the Xbox One, you're just going to save your money very quickly with the amount of games you can get for crazy money. So,
of course, from my walk as well, and my side of the fence, and a lot of other people who use Steam, I've got immediately 100+ games.
Yeah.
Out that turn it on, re-download them all over a couple of days, and that machine is ready to go. And,
well, exactly. Yeah. To do that on an Xbox or something, you'd be talking thousands of pounds, wouldn't you?
Because when you look at the standard Steam box, there's no disk drives. You see, it's just a box. I think you can put peripherals into it, USBs and SATA drives and things like that. But it doesn't take any disk hardware, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so that's my news. A couple of really, really cool modern day things, mostly for the future there. But I suppose, Rob, you're going to take us into retro.
Yeah, from groundbreaking, game changing new machines and revolutionising the way that games are played. My news is there's a new Master System game out. The retro gaming front has gone very, very quiet over Christmas, as was to be expected, really. There's been a few news stories of English translations of bizarre Japanese roleplay games, but they're not games I've heard of, and so chances are the average person wouldn't have either. But this is one little story that did catch my eye because it's a new arcade platform game that's been released for the Sega Master System, called Geki Oko Punpun Maru. The usual spelling. And
yeah, not the European spelling of that. No.
That's right. And basically, it's made by the guy that did the Felix Jr. game for the Sega Mega Drive.
Oh yeah.
So it's that sort of visual style. It just looks cool. I always like it, as I said in the last couple of shows, is when vintage systems who haven't had any new software in decades suddenly get new games released. It is pretty cool. It's based on a NES game that was never released. It's kind of an idea that was floating around, and this guy's basically put it into fruition. And it's more, to be honest, it's kind of like, it looks like kind of original sort of Mario Brothers game. Just like 12 stages, and it's a vertical guy who's just basically platform game, really.
Yeah. So how how does it come? Does it come on cartridge, or is it downloadable?
No, it's downloadable, and it's free as well.
So you play it through a browser, do you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a ROM, basically. You run it through a.
Oh yeah. It's through a Master
System.
System.
The Master System ROM engines. Some of these retro games, very rarely they do. Occasionally, do get into cartridge form. There was a Mega Drive game called PS Solar, which is like a role play game.
Yes.
About 3 years ago. You've heard it,
yeah?
Yeah. So that came out in a cartridge form, which was awesome. But most of them tend to be ROMs. But yeah, the developer's called Future Driver.
Cool.
And if you want to check out, there's it's worth a look.
Yeah.
So some news there. Next bit of news is a bit of a sad news story. It's that Greg Martin, who was a box artist for some of the retro games, did a lot of box art. Most famously, the Sonic art. He's passed away, unfortunately.
Oh shit! When?
So he's not a name that
a lot
of people would know, but he did. Everyone will know his artwork. He did the front cover to Sonic 2. Did the Flintstones, DuckTales. In fact, all the Sonic 1 and 2. DuckTales, Adventure Island, Bonk. Lots of old games that people.
Sorry, hang on. What was that last one?
Bonk. Never heard of Bonk?
No. Not in the same breath as Sonic the Hedgehog and DuckTales. Wow. Right. Okay.
It's a vintage game, but everyone will be familiar with the Sonic the Hedgehog art. He's created a sort of pop icon with the art style. So, some sad news there.
Yeah, no, it's sad. Yeah,
we'll all be familiar with those artwork from back in the day. The only other little story I've got is that Retro Collect, who are a very cool online retro gaming website, have created a retro gaming store locator. Which is rather cool. So if you want to know if there's a physical shop, not an online shop, an actual shop that you can walk in and buy old games like back in the day, then you can do this on retrocollect.com. There are some local to us, and I know there's a couple on the Isle of Wight because when I used to live over there, I would quite often pop in there. But if you're not one for downloading and ROMs and you actually like to collect the vintage box stuff, which I have done in the past, and I'm sure at some point I will do again. This is the best way to do it because eBay's all well and good, but it's a pain in the arse having to bid on stuff and get outbid at the last minute, or pay stupid postage packing because someone wants to
That's right.
avoid fees. This is a great way of going. And presumably, if you have problems with the game, because let's be honest, these things are prone to dust and things over time, then you can pop back in and
definitely. Now there used to be one in the New Forest, down in a place called New Milton.
Yes.
Years ago. This was when I had the Mega Drive, and he used to import a lot of Japanese games.
I remember this. What was he called?
I don't know, but he had a little shop in the front of what looked like a furniture shop. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
I do. And,
he used to get the Japanese. I remember I got a copy of Pro Striker something. There's a Sega game. Yeah. Really, really good Mega Drive football game. Probably up there with top 5. And in order to play it, you had to file part of your Mega Drive insert, where you slot the cartridge in.
Yeah.
Because the British or the European cartridge was square,
yes.
The Japanese one was slightly curved. So in order to fit it in, you had to get a nail file and file away a load of the plastic and pop it in, and it worked. It was that.
Yeah.
And you used to take it to him, and that was modding. That was modifying your
back in the
day.
day.
Mega Drive.
That was before they discovered that you could create adapters, which basically fitted in, and they stuck them in the top. But I do remember the SNES was more prone to that, I think, because the American SNES cartridge was blocky.
That's right.
And the Japanese and UK ones were curved.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Japanese games were always, you could play them, but they were always in Japanese text. So, unless you could play it, unless you could read that, you struggle.
There's many. I mean, I do remember this game being Japanese, but and the fact that back in the day, that was half the fun. Getting a game, and I know you couldn't really do it out of an RPG, but a sports game, you could certainly work your way around the menus and work out what with the Japanese text and get there in the end. And we did. So yeah. No, I miss those old shops. But
well, of course, there was one in our hometown which we have. The name of the podcast homages, doesn't it?
Yes, it's a tribute to our local town. Yes.
Yeah, there was a video game shop. It's sadly no longer there, but called the Control Zone, which we would spend many hours and pennies in. But it's cool. I'm just looking at it now, and there's one in Bournemouth that I remember going to.
Right. Yeah.
No, sorry, not Bournemouth, in Poole. And I remember going to, which was massive, and I'd be interested to see if that's still there. A couple in Pompey, or Portsmouth rather. Those people who don't know where that is. So that's a cool. If you like your vintage games and actually having tangible cartridges, then definitely check that out because it's rather handy. And that, I'm afraid, is the end of my news. As I say, a little bit on the quiet side. But such is the way over Christmas, really. I'm sure there'll be a few more news stories next time we do the podcast. What we'll do now, we'll do the spotlight, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's going to be mostly yours because I don't. I'm going to have to leave this one mostly to you, Rob. So
no, that's fine. That's fine. It's not a game you've played, is it?
Unfortunately, not. No.
That's cool. This week's spotlight is going to be on a absolute classic Super Nintendo game,
which I've not played.
Which he's not played, so therefore he's deprived himself.
Yeah.
But it is Secret of Mana, which I'm sure a lot of people will know. But if you don't, it's an action role-play game. It's sort of in a top-down view, similar to the old Zelda games. Released in 1993 by Square, who back in the sort of early 90s, Square was sort of the Japanese developer who were...
is that Square Enix now, is it?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Square.
So they were renowned for their awesome role-play games, and Secret of Mana was one of the few of their releases that got a US translation, or English translation.
Okay.
And I was obsessed with this game as a kid, and had it as an American import. We're just talking about the import cartridges. It was one of those. It was a big square blocky cartridge, and you needed the adapter to do it, and you used to have to stick a UK cartridge in the back.
That's right. I know the adapter. Yeah, so you had two of them. You had one, the American one slotted into the top of the adapter.
That's right.
UK or European one was sort of
in the back,
almost horizontal at the back. Yeah,
that's right. So to trick the machine that you were playing a UK game.
Yeah.
I love those sort of vintage things. It's brilliant.
There's part as much of the heritage as the actual games themselves.
Yeah, exactly. But I eventually did get a European release, but not for quite some time later. I never had the UK copy because I obviously had it already as a US copy. But it used it was in real time battles like Zelda, where you press a button and you attack with your sword. It wasn't sort of stop start turn based role play game that obviously a lot of early 90s games like Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger and stuff like that had. So that was really cool. It was 3-player, which was awesome. There was 3 characters in it. You started the game basically as this one character. They didn't have specific names. You would name them all when the character came into the game.
Oh, okay. So you potential give them your names. So you
give them your names or comedy names. You want to call them Bell End or something.
Indeed.
And I'm sure I must have done that at some point. But you start the game with like a sort of a warrior character, a young lad who finds a magic sword basically in a stone, pulls it out, and then starts a trail of events and sends him on a quest to find various bits and bobs. He's joined by a sort of female character who has like healing magic, and a sort of a dwarf or a sprite. He's a sprite, so a little dude who has like attacking magic spells. It's fantastic for 2 things. Well, not for 2 things, for lots of things. But as soon as you play it, it's got really great, brightly coloured graphics. I think graphically, it's better than Zelda 3 was, which in itself was very cool for the time.
Yeah, that was because I think that was on the. I think
on the SNES.
I'm thinking of the N64 version. Okay.
No, not the 64 version. No,
we're wrong.
It was a leap forward, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't massive leap forward, but it was better. It had brilliant music, really, really good music that has aged very well, very emotive, and it's great. The music's really good. Some of the best video game music of that era, I'd say. Obviously, the 3-player option was great. You needed an adapter again for that because the SNES only had 2 joypad ports, so you had to get an adapter and stick that in there, and then stick the various controllers in there. But I remember playing that a lot with my brother and one of my mates at the time. But gameplay-wise, it was huge, and you could obviously level up your characters, level up your weapons, level up your magic, buy bits and pieces, all the sort of things we take for granted now. But if you think that Zelda, okay, your character did get better, and you got more health points as he little hearts as he got through the game, it didn't really have anywhere near the sort of progression element that Secret Mana had, and it had like a ring command menu system, which would basically pause the game and bring up like a ring of all the different weapons you could have, so you could sort of change your weapon that you were using. If you're better with a certain weapon, if you were best with the sword, you could change to that. If you then needed to change to a bow or something to hit someone across a ravine or something, you could change to that. The rings would the ring command menu, you sort of scroll through, allowed you to access all your magic and all your equipment and stuff really, really easily without properly bringing up a whole new pause menu and scrolling through lists of stuff. It was very, do you know what I mean? It just faded the game to sort of paused it and then brought this menu up and didn't really sort of get in the way of the gameplay. Plot-wise, it was a big game. I can't remember how many hours it would have taken to complete, because back in those days you didn't have like a sort of a timer that we do now as a monitor, but I would say you've got to be looking at least probably 40 or 50 hours.
Wow.
Which back in those days,
that is good. Yeah.
The story was kind of a little bit, by today's standards, a little bit generic. He basically on a quest to refine these eight mana seeds, which will be used to destroy this giant creature called the Mana Beast. And it's a little bit hackneyed by now, but at the time it was great, and it was just the game engine itself and the.
Do you remember what it cost you to? Because you probably bought the import.
To buy at the time, yes, I do. I think it was about something ridiculous, like 50 or 60 quid.
Yeah, because you bought the American import, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you buy the adapter specifically for that game, or did you already own one?
I already had it.
Okay, so you were.
Because I had going back to earlier, I had Contra 3 on the import.
Okay, yeah.
But the adapters themselves were about a tenner, so they weren't. They weren't.
Yeah. You see, I hear a lot of games are too expensive. 40 quid for Skyrim.
Yeah.
100-hour plus game.
Yeah.
People just you hear they haven't. The cost of video games has not really changed, has it?
No, it hasn't. It's stayed about the same, and obviously with inflation,
it should be over 100 quid easy.
Yeah, 50 or 60 quid by 1993 standards. Yeah.
Let me just Google that. How much did you pay? Call it 50 quid.
Yeah.
So carry on talking. I'm just.
Yeah, that's all right. It was a big investment, but it still commands quite high prices now. If you've got a vintage SNES and you want to pick up the cartridge, I think they tend to still go for between about 20 or 30 quid for the actual cartridge now.
Wow.
Because it would come with it's one of the first games. I know Zelda did it as well, but one of the first games to come with a big proper fold-out map, so you could see the whole world on the map. We take that for granted now with Skyrim and GTA and stuff, but this is certainly one of the first games I remember, having this map on my bedroom floor and going, let's go here, which is always quite cool. So yeah, have you got that figure?
Yeah, £66.50.
Okay, it's not massive.
But still,
you wouldn't pay nearly 70 quid for a game now, would you?
No. And that was compute value as of 2000. So that puts that 70. What was that? What year did it come out? That's only 7 years, isn't it? So that's not much. So I reckon about another. So if it went up 7 quid in 7 years, I reckon it'd probably be about 75, 80 quid now.
Yeah. Games prices have definitely decreased.
Yeah, so that's double what we pay now, and we're still paying what we paid back then. So I think the value of games has stayed roughly the same. So we should. There's
an interesting link that's been going around Facebook recently about the inflation prices of vintage consoles. So what we'd be paying now, and if they were released now at that price, what it would be worth. And most of them were released around about the $200 or $300 dollar mark. $200-300 mark. And something like the original Atari, way back in the late 70s. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Late 70s.
Yeah.
It cost you in today's money over $1,000.
But you can get it on your phone, can't you?
Yeah,
I suppose the actual software for it.
So, no, we're not hard done by at all.
No, not at all. No, we're very, very lucky, and we have a fantastic hobby and interest that has got a lot of history to it now. I remember, back when we were kids, it was very much a young
thing,
and didn't have a lot to look back at. But now we've got so many years of summer.
Yeah, well, it's nearly 40 years, isn't it?
Yeah. So what would you rate The Secret of Mana then, if you were going to give it a score?
Give it a score, blimey.
What should we go? Percentage or let's give it a percentage. What?
Old school style percentage.
Yeah.
It's at the time it was absolutely groundbreaking. It's aged well. It's still a fun game to play. I got it as a ROM on.
But you didn't you get it on the phone?
I've got it on the iPhone. As I was going to say, I've got it on iOS for £6, and it's still playable. It's not. It's got obviously iOS I've moaned about its controlling system before.
Yeah.
But it's still playable now. I've only put about 3 hours worth into it because it's just sitting down and playing.
That's more than most games.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But no, if you like this game, that's the best way to get it. It's not on Xbox Live, unfortunately. I'd love it be released on Xbox, because I would definitely get it.
Okay. But, so go on, then, let's have your score.
Give it a score. I would say 93%.
Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, I was just looking at the games rating website. They give it 87.
Yeah,
so that's damn good. That I always say anything over 80% is worth a look. So
a game that you can still play 20 years on and still enjoy. You know, there's only a handful of games. We can talk about games we've played in the past that we've enjoyed, but you wouldn't actually go out and play them now. You know, games like this, Zelda, Sonic.
Yeah, is it that sort of game where you have a slightly different experience to my experience if we played the game, or do they lead?
No, it's a very linear. It's not like
Skyrim
or something like that, where the game is totally different. No, it's a linear story, but your character could progress at a different pace, and you've got 3 characters to control, so you can opt between. You know, you can switch between the 3 characters if you're playing single player. So you could sort of concentrate on having one of them really good. So there's that sort of option. But no, the story itself, it was linear. But you didn't mind that really back in the day.
No, good.
It's still aged well. So yeah, definitely. If you haven't played it and you like vintage Zelda and that sort of stuff, you must get it. You must check it out. It's not too difficult to get hold of. Whatever means you want to do it, but certainly. You know, if you're going to buy it, then iPhone, and you have an iPhone or Android, it's on Android as well, about £6. It's probably worth that, I'd say. But yeah, there's always copies of it knocking around on eBay, but you have to pay the cost then if you've got a vintage SNES. Cool.
Excellent.
All right then. Well, that was the review. I think that'll probably wrap us up for this.
Yeah, well, just before we go, just going to give a couple of sort of
we do have
shout outs. Yeah. So I'd like to give a shout out to a chap. I think his name's Simon. He goes by the I think his PlayStation name is Lost815. So he left us a review on iTunes, which was very nice, and it was a 5-star review as well. So
wow.
So I must say, Simon, I need your address for send the check. But you may hear him. He's offered to come on and join us as a guest one week, and we might grab him when all our diaries sync up. But thank you again for the review, Si, on Lost815, as you probably want to be called.
Yeah.
And, anyone else who does listen to us, all 4 of you, if you wish to do a review, that would be absolutely fantastic, because reviews is what gets you recognition. It doesn't matter how good you are, you could be completely awful. I pause there for you to go, yes. And then we might start climbing those iTunes charts and become a bit more noticed.
We're just doing it for fun.
We're doing it for fun, but
listen to it the better.
Yeah, that's right. And then we might be able to develop it into a little bit of a website, and then we can have a nice little community going on. And we've got our link to our other shout out, haven't we, Rob? Who's the
shouts out to the Nerd Sphere Network, which I mentioned last time that we've kindly been added to, which is a network of podcasts covering all things geeky and nerdy and general, also as the name would suggest, Nerd Sphere. So you've got vintage toy collecting, sort of cult movies, and we are the video game representative for that, which is cool. So you can check them out on the nerdsphere.net, I believe. Let me just get the link quickly before I do it. It's the nerdsphere.freeforums.net. So you can definitely check that out. Sorry, no, it's a Nerdsphere.
Well, you know your stuff then.
That's the forum. It's the Nerdsphere.
Right.
.blogspot.com. Apologies.
They could be found on Twitter, I think.
You can find them on Twitter. Yeah, you can find them on Twitter. You can obviously find us on Twitter as well, which is a nice little segue there. At the Control Zone Pod, all one word. You can also find me on Twitter and YouTube, Predaking79, which is PREDAKING 79. So you can find me on YouTube as well. The YouTube channel is for my other retro obsession, which is all things vintage toy related. And I've actually done a couple of videos since we last recorded, so you might
cool.
check out nerdy toy stuff, then take a stroll to YouTube and have a look.
Yeah, actually, we should start a Control Zone YouTube channel.
Yeah, we could. You could do.
Because I have a means of recording my Steam gaming. So I can put a little picture of me in the bottom corner, and I could say hello. You can see what I look like, and maybe if I get a new game or something comes out this year, then I'll review it, or you can watch me play it. Or I might put up some Pro Evo. I'm doing quite well with Chelsea on there at the moment. So, and I've got Ronaldinho playing for Chelsea. So, he's a fantastic midfielder. But anyway, yeah. So we should look into that for the future. Might start doing that soon.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
So we've already mentioned our game tags, but we'll just quickly say again on the Killer Frog.
Yep, and I'm
A Frog on Xbox Live, and you are.
And I'm Ricky32, that's RIKKI32, and that's Xbox Live, although if you did want to contact me on there, you'll probably end up speaking to my son, because he's always on Minecraft, but I'm also on PlayStation 3, Steam, and Twitter. Same name. Cool.
Right, that'll wrap up episode 3. Thank you everybody for listening again, and it certainly won't be 3 weeks before we're back again.
No.
Christmas. So we'll be back again.
Yeah.
Soon with another episode. So it's goodbye from me.
Yep. Thanks everybody, and a goodbye from me.
See you next time, guys.
See ya, bye.